Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hi Al, how are you?
Hey Beth, what's going on?
So I'm Beth Rennig of Wellness RX, and I'm here today with the wonderful Al Sayegh of Pure Mountain Yoga. And you have done quite a lot. You've been on the mountaintop for a little while. Why don't we start by just letting everybody know some things about you and your background.
Well, I mean, it's, it can be quite intense at some time, but I've kind of had a magical life. And I was brought up here from when I was born. My grandparents had a home up here in the 40s, and it's always been on and off with Tennessee forever.
Nice.
But it got to the point where living up here, which I started about 7 years ago, is so great. It's just, this is the place to be. And I never thought that, my life would be the way it is, plus it would end up me not only learning and teaching yoga, but to even open up a yoga studio. So I think I saved the best for last. And it's just, I'm grateful about everything that is coming to me and everything that I can give to the community and to the mountaintop as well.
Yeah, you certainly share a lot of yourself and creating a lovely space at Pure Mountain Yoga for people to come and to come as they are.
Yeah.
And it feels nice and clean and open, and it doesn't feel like a yoga studio. It does.
Right, because I never did it as a business sense. I did it as a community thing. And then, the way we connected, it's nice to make the space available for other people to do other things in.
Oh, absolutely.
That all work in it. So that's what's so beautiful about it.
Yeah.
It was great, and I was super blessed in the beginning when I had this concept, an idea to connect with Chuck Royce, who was very encouraging for me to do this, and gave me this space to work with. So, I mean, it's all been nice.
Yeah. Chuck and Deborah and the family, they've definitely been very supportive of Tannersville and so many people, and continue to be.
Yeah, we're so lucky we have guardian angels.
And to talk about what you just said about the space being open for so many uses. I have not had my own personal Reiki studio, with the exception of I now feel very at home doing Reiki in Studio 2 at Pure Mountain Yoga, and I'm very blessed and grateful. It's a wonderful space. So many people comment about how lovely it is.
No, it is lovely.
And it's simple, but yet the intention that you set by being a community space and open to all is really palpable. It's felt. And people just kind of walk in and go, oh.
You know what, it's something that I've been really blessed with. I never wanted to be interior decorator, but the homes that I've had and the home I have here in my yoga studio, I've always liked to make them feel that when you walk in, they wrap their arms around you. And you're there. You're in a living space. It's got good energy. And that's what makes it work. I mean, that's even just part of the yogic thing, is the energy,
And it's important. It's important because if you can come into a space doing something that, well, maybe you've never done yoga before, or maybe it's a new yoga community to you.
Right.
Or maybe, you're in a space where you're releasing and you're moving through some pain or trauma or whatever, or in my case, working and doing Reiki sessions for people. People get kind of raw on the table, but they definitely are feeling the sense of what you're putting forward, and then what I add to it as well. And I've had so many compliments from people saying, wow, this is great.
Yeah, I mean, in any kind of thing that generates energy and any kind of beauty that comes to you within, you don't have to look far, and that's the problem. People are looking way too far for something that's really right around them. And they've just got to make that work. That's one of the beautiful things, is that it's really right there, and you're missing the boat. You need to kind of, I've always, when I teach yoga, and I have some new people in the class. One of the things I ever tell people when they come in to do yoga is, would you ever buy a car and not change the oil? And people are doing that so much to their bodies. They're just expecting it to go as far as they can go. And then all of a sudden they panic and they worry about an issue and they try to deal with it then. Where if you deal with it in the beginning or just do a maintenance thing to make you feel better, it's humongous, it's huge, just the reward that you get from something like that.
I totally agree. And everybody's schedule is going to be different with their maintenance schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? And then yoga is always an individual thing.
Yes.
Okay, and one of the hardest things to do is, we get people all the time that come in there new, or people ask about, can a beginner work or whatever, and it's an individual thing. It's never a competitive thing. Never look at the person next to you or behind you. You do what you can do, and if you just become part of the class and don't do anything, you're still getting something out of it.
Oh, that's...
It's learning your flexibility and knowing that that's just yours. There is no grade, there's no competition, there's no test,
Yeah.
And it's super simple. And somehow we don't get it sometimes,
Yeah, I mean, I think the human experience, we tend to be hard on ourselves, right? We tend to judge and to not want to be in our hearts, and we get a lot of so-called pulls to the outside world rather than being okay with being here.
Yeah,
So,
and it's pulls or it's distractions, because it's really not focusing on what's the important. I mean, there are important things to focus on and be mindful of it, but in order to deal with things like that, you want to make the beautiful temple of your body as good as you can to handle it. It's also a mind thing. It's keeping that, if you keep the mind thing right, because that controls the body and the soul. The mind just has that power.
So can we talk about that process, but maybe just slow it down and break it up, especially for those of us. I mean, I do practice some yoga. I have to say, I'm not very, I do other things to stay active and keep the flow, but that's not even easy for me.
Right.
I'm great at my spiritualism and my spiritual practices, but I'm not always as good with doing what my body needs and to keep that maintenance schedule like I do my spiritual practices. So maybe speak to some of that, because I'm sure there's others like me who are sort of struggling with that. So,
I mean, the simplest way to realize it is if you just think about your body and think about every function that you do, whether you do hand movement, leg movement, walk, talk, whatever you do, is a brain function, right? So the object here is to first calm the brain. Get into, fortunately, I would say one of the silver linings to COVID is hopefully it got more people into realizing, okay, let me meditate, let me chill out a little bit.
yeah.
And by calming the mind, and then, I also teach meditation, and when I teach it, what I try to let people know is, number one, you will always be distracted when you try to meditate. No matter how long you've meditated, you will die still being distracted. But the object is never to be discouraged and always come back. So when you realize you've drifted, you take a deep breath and come back to your meditative state. And you keep on trying to do that, And there's so many things you can use as an anchor for meditation. You can use, a mantra, you can use candlelight, you can use staring at a photo. But whatever you use, it's something to try to solidify your mind and keep it from drifting. Because we have all these post-it notes in our mind of what to do, and you want to just break that up. So by doing that, you're calming a little bit, and if you try to sit down for 5 or 10 minutes and meditate, and maybe you get 2 or 3 minutes, but that's 2 or 3 minutes you didn't have before.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. And that's the silence and the quietness that, people don't generally do, because a lot of people kind of say, I don't have the time, I don't have the space, and stuff like that. You know what? You got to make the time. You really do. You got to find, everybody's predicament is different. People live in different scenarios, small apartments, big apartments, have a lot of children, no children, dogs, pets, whatever. But if they can have that little space that just kind of makes it work, where they just have, I personally tell people, if you're going to meditate, try to have an area that you can pick that's your meditation spot, your secret space. That it becomes personal to you.
Yes.
and maybe put things there and trinkets. We have collectibles all through the house. Get things that matter to you, pictures of family, rocks, whatever. Just something down that you can just call that your own.
Yeah.
And then that's your little saving grace.
Cool. So
getting back to that, it's just, it's a discipline thing. Yogi Bhajan, who was the great Kundalini master for Kundalini Yoga, which is what I teach, is, passed away now. But one of the things he had always said to us is the fact that in Kundalini, we're encouraged to get up at 4:30 in the morning and take a cold shower and then do a yoga and a prayer for 2 hours. And his common sense thing is that he says, hey, no one's going to know whether you stay in your warm bed or not. What's the purpose of doing that, getting up, practicing, whatever? And you know what it is? It's stamina. It's personal stamina. It's developing a discipline, maybe not to that extreme for most people, but it's like, you have to kind of develop the routine, a pattern, and something where, disregard the cell phone and the computer and the noise that goes on and just kind of realize, our minds are crazy. Our minds are so multitasking and doing a million things. And we don't realize the day goes by quick. That's why time goes by quick. And it's just nice to kind of just chill out and enjoy a little bit of some meditative space. So just by doing that and calming the mind and trying to become stress-free. Because listen, that's a big thing with me, because no one can hardly tell me that a year ago that anything that you worried about is still there. It goes away.
Very true.
It goes away. So you gotta, it depends. I'm blessed with principles of life is just so wonderful that it's almost like a game. But what matters is your health and maybe your loved ones around you, but everything else is secondary. So you gotta try to let it go. The more stress-free you can be, everything just works great.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing, but I think that's a lot of what our society is coming to.
It is.
It's almost a death of, we thought that these things or these thoughts or these patterns of, I gotta go here, I gotta go here. We used to think that's important.
Right.
And now we realize, maybe I can do some online shopping and pick it up at my local store to support the locals. Or, maybe I'll do some of this, but it's also just going, that's just going to fall off because it's not as important. Maybe I thought I was close with that person, but maybe they're the person I talk to once or twice a year. Maybe they're not part of my tribe.
Right. And, the other thing is you have the beauty as you get older to have the wisdom to forgive and just forget, and certain things don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's just realizing how your priorities are. This is controlled by everybody, and everybody's got to realize that the body that we're given is the body we're given. But we have a lot of say into the way that body works, and the things that we eat, and the things that we do, and how we breathe, and the exercise that we do. It's all about that. Everybody has full control.
Right.
And I think that, the yoga thing or the meditation thing, whatever it is that's why it's very popular, because people are reaching out, Like case in point, so we went through COVID, so when the weather got better, I realized that, my teachers can come here for the summer and teach yoga here. And what was amazing is I says, why didn't I think about this before? How come all the summers I was here, we didn't do yoga here? So it's amazing now.
Right.
A lot of my girls are loving it. We're going to continue doing yoga out here until it snows.
Yeah.
Because even at 42 degrees, you're layered, you're out in the sun, and it's just fabulous.
And you're moving,
so
your
moving,
muscles are
and you're looking at nature, and right now you're looking at a box of Trick cereal. Look at this. It's so great, It's just a beautiful space. So, it's nice to offer that, and from every summer now, we're going to just be coming back here.
And that's a wonderful thing.
That was like one of the silver linings that, and it was, there was, originally, and I don't want to get deep into this, but originally we're sitting in the space which was my original plan to be Pure Mountain Yoga, which was this building. And I did get approved by the Jewish board to do it, but there was another complication in the works that happened. And it brought me to Chuck Royce, which I'm happy about, because that studio's great. So it's nice having that, and then this becomes a private space and my own personal space, and then on rainy days for outdoor yoga, they come in here anyway, so, you know. But, you know, it's all, you know, I know it's nice to talk about it, but to make it sweet and simple is everybody has full control. And it's nice just to think that you can do it.
Yes.
And there's no restrictions on it, there's no level set, you know. I think one of the big problems is you get somebody that's not done yoga before, they look at a copy of Yoga Journal and they, oh my God, I can't look like that. I'm not going to be that pretzel today.
Right.
But that's, you know, that's wrong. You got to come in and just do as little or as much as you want. And flexibility is your body. There is no level of it. You do what you can do. And if you work at it, maybe you can achieve a bigger range, a better feeling.
Yeah, so it's interesting because we're talking about, you know, the increase of energy of doing yoga or being outside, but then we're also talking about, you know, where does our energy drop off? Where does our attention and awareness drop off? And it's those distractions. And you talked about setting up the sacred space for yourself or sacred spaces throughout your house. And over the past 2 years, I've done that. And I've tried to figure out how can I do this without disturbing the flow of the rest of the family. I have two powerful, you know, one's a preteen, one's just become a teen, daughters. And I want them to not feel as though I'm, imposing and saying, this is how we should live. We should, you know, live by the word of Buddha or whatever it may be. But I figured out ways to bring nature inside, which I found that helped so much. And it helped to create this space that I could reduce distractions. And it has gotten me to a point where I can say, okay, I am taking this really well-needed time of 30 minutes to go outside and do a walking meditation, get my body moving, also do my spiritual practice. I tell you the key thing, I put my cell phone on airplane mode when I say it's bedtime. And I realize the difference between motivation and discipline. And motivation doesn't take you very far. Discipline will take you much further, but it can be much tougher.
It can be, but it's a habit, you know. You know, it's kind of like you can meditate, and you can meditate for so many times a day, and then when it gets involved, and to have a meditation really truly become part of your habit, you got to do it for 1,000 days in a row.
Got it. Okay.
And then it kind of becomes part of your habit, and you know, so. In my lifestyle, the way I live now, I shut my cell phone off at night every night. So it's always off at night. It comes on in the morning. I've been TV-less for 12 years now. I don't watch TV. I don't look at TV. And newspapers, they're really good to make flyers with, but that's about it. So I've kept a lot of negativity out of my life. And if I want to find news, it's out there, but I don't need it in my face.
So you're tuned in without having it be
constantly and you become amazed how much free time you have to do things. You know, to do other good things. You know, and it's great. And I run out of time every day for the things I want to do. You know, besides, you know, I've been very blessed because I love music, being a musician, a photographer, a yogi. I mean, you know, I've gone through the gamut. I've always seen life as kind of this big buffet at a wedding where I never want to stop trying something new.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's just been great. Yeah, so one of the most miraculous things about living here on the mountaintop is being surrounded by green and the nature we have here. And, you know, it's a healing thing. And, you know, there's so many things that are out there that'll say, you know, just looking at a tree, being part of nature is so part of our body healing. And we get to see this every day. I mean, we're not looking out, we're not seeing the concrete condo or something else. And that in itself is very solidifying to be around this. You know, plus living here high enough where we have beautiful hair. And, you know, it's funny, I'm not sure of the exact amount, but I believe we take 22,000 sips of air a day. And the thing is that how many breaths of air do you take when you think you know you're breathing, you're focusing?
Right.
You're taking it just for the sake of surviving.
Yeah.
So, part of the whole yogic thing is to focus on that and let that also be as an assistant and an aid in when you're doing different movement and postures. And the breath is just an amazing thing. It really is. It's just, filling up the lungs, bringing good oxygen, holding it sometimes if you have to, exhaling, and just being aware of it. And there are different types of breath, breathing through the mouth, breathing through the nose, that provide different rewards.
So can we talk about people who may be in, a lot of people are in fight or flight right now, right? Where they're just feeling like, oh my God, I just want to run away from it all, or I'm angry.
Right.
And the breath is an incredible tool to help pull us out of that state to get back to neutral. So
yeah, it is. It's a calming thing for sure. It's not a miracle drug. So it's kind of, you still need the mental stamina to realize, okay, I'm going to do this. But, by using the breath to try to be a medicinal thing, you also want to add in that little meditation. And then I'm not talking about sitting on the floor cross-legged, staring at, a Ganesh or something like that. But it's just like, take a break from the world for a minute.
Yeah.
Just take a blank out a little bit, wherever you are. It doesn't have to be anywhere, one of the things I learned, it's nice just to be calming driving. Don't put the radio on.
yes.
Drive without it and just have that nice little quietness that you have there. But it can be, some people, I'm sure, find some difficulty in trying to do that, though, to try and make that breath work.
Yeah.
So it's a discipline thing. And that's why sometimes people, I think in general, people always seek, there's nothing like having a teacher in whatever you want to do. A yoga teacher, a breath teacher, a meditation teacher in the school or whatever. Because we all, even though there's always a teacher within us. We were born that way. We got it from our moms. We strive to have a teacher there because it's nice to have that guidance. And then it just, it's just part of our nature.
Yeah.
And you also can be your own teacher and set things up for yourself. And then kind of just say, do a little plan of something that you can add a little bit of time in your life to just chill out a little bit.
Right.
And this is so diversified because so many people have different lives and different complications.
Right.
So it's very personal. But, to getting people to just realize that it's a help is just a big thing. It's just, don't ever take something for granted. That's one of the hard things. Be grateful every day that you wake up and think about, what can I do to make this day better? For yourself or for the world, whatever.
Right.
And that's the whole thing, is waking up and just saying, you have none of us have a right not to be excited about every day you wake up.
Yeah.
You gotta be. It's just great. We're blessed again. You certainly don't want to wake up in a hospital with white walls and shitty artwork. You just want it to be, don't miss it, because there may be a day comes where something changes that in a heartbeat and you're not there anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll come back to it, but please, you just got to believe that this is so great.
Yeah.
It's just a great thing. When I wake up every morning and I look at what I've got, it's like, oh, I'm so blessed.
Yeah.
And it's very simple. It's not complicated up here.
Right.
And I think that's one of the reasons we all live up here. Because
Yes.
we saw a little bit of activity. Obviously people coming up here a little bit more than we're used to, but that's going to go away at one point. That'll come back, because this area, I've always liked it, being up here, from almost my whole life, is that it always goes 3 steps forward, but then it comes 2 steps back. So it always keeps calm and never crazy.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. There's this equalizing force of nature here that we can't tell it what to do.
Right,
It's going to snow buckets, or it's not, or it's going to be, And it's not easy to live here, but certainly if you're looking to be in, not only in community, but in tune with nature, but still have immense privacy.
Right.
This is a great place for that.
Oh,
and,
yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have our off seasons, which is super quiet. Some people can't handle that. You know, some
Right.
people, it's hard. There's not much going on.
Yeah.
I love that time. That's such a great time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it depends the frame of mind you're in. But, you know, I mean, you know, wellness is such an amazing place to have. It's so nice that got resurrected again, that we have a pharmacy here. Because when I grew up at my grandparents' house in Tannersville, my neighbor was Sayegh, who was the original owner of Rexall Drugs.
Oh, okay.
And his daughters, Holly and Tracy, we played together because we were the same age. So,
Okay.
so I knew Cy and Rexall back in those days, you know. And then we had Tommy Manis come in and whatever. But you know what Ed's doing in your in the facility and what he's offering, and just this whole community just feels good. It's vibrant. It's really good. There's so many of us that live here that just want to be part of it. We're not looking for a reward. We just want to be a part of it, be part of the help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hearts wide open, doors open
Oh,
to
yeah. It's
people
so
coming
great.
in to, seek what they need. You know, we're not always going to get it right, but we're sure going to try our hardest.
Right.
And I speak for Ed, I think there, but it's a beautiful place. It really is a gorgeous building.
Oh, gorgeous
and
building.
I love to see the smiles and even just the lowering of the shoulders
Yeah, the
sometimes
feeling.
on people.
It's
when
an
they're walking.
amazing store when you
Yeah.
walk in, right?
Yeah.
And everybody that's in there, it's just great.
And everybody cares about who's coming in. Not
Yeah,
everybody's
yeah.
got a good life right now. Some
Right.
people are really struggling and going through a hard time. And you know, we look at them, and I know you do too. We look at them as equals, as everybody's the same.
Right.
Even if you're not experiencing the same thing today, you know, there's that love. And I think where we live really helps to enhance that and boost that,
Right.
so that we can be coming into the yoga studio or coming into the session room to relax and let go, so that we can do, you know, what's really good for our hearts, our bodies, and our minds.
Yeah.
And
No. I mean, you know, to me, the best thing that, you know, and it's always been the challenge, is that when I get somebody that comes into a yoga class that I teach, and if that person has never been there before, if I could just touch one person during a class, that's all that matters. Because hopefully you start something that this person will make a habit.
yeah,
Now, one of the other nice things that we've done up here at Yoga is doing the pre-K yoga with Puddle ducks.
yeah,
So that's a great thing, because, you know, when you have these little 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds come in, and I go up there because Jeannie's the great teacher for that. You know, the reality of that is that they're doing yoga, they're loving it, but they're at that molding stage of their life, so they'll forget that at some point, and they're going to get into, you know, life, teenagers, boys, girls, whatever. But maybe one day when they're a little older, 17, 18, in college or whatever, you know, they may realize, oh, we did yoga, it's not a bad thing to do.
yeah.
you
That
know?
seed was planted.
Exactly.
Like, it was a positive kind of thing.
So, you know, when I come up to the studio on a Monday morning at 11, and these little kids are they all have their own mat, and they're doing these amazing little postures with the most flexible bodies in the world. They're so great. You know, they come up, they line up, they put their shoes all in a row, they go in the yoga studio, they're all got happy smiles on their face. And to me, it's like, that's the best reward I could ever get.
Yeah,
It's not a money thing, it's all about, oh my God,
yeah,
you know what? They're all going to take this somewhere. Some of them may never take it again. Some of them may become teachers, who knows? But it's
Right.
just, you know, so that's the great space of it just being, you know, a yoga teacher and having, you know, what we have in there. And it's all simple. It's not, you know, I mean, we're all certified. And I just recently got certified in chair yoga, which I thought about doing that one day as well. But it's just providing very simple movement and simple mind control that gives you the greatest reward. It's just, it's just peaceful and nice, you know? And we have a nice community now of the student flow that we have. We have a lot of regulars that are there, you know, every day. I mean, there's a class in the studio tomorrow. It's an indoor class. It's already full because we're minimizing 6 people. But it's working fine.
So how do people sign up for the classes?
They either call or they email.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's only right now we're keeping just 1 studio class, and on the weekends we're still doing 3 outdoors. And like I said, we're going to do the 3 outdoor classes. You know, I mean, I had one teacher say, even if we get some snow, we can do some snow flow vinyasa. So we'll see.
That's great.
Yeah.
So then, do they need to sign up ahead of time for the outdoor yoga? Or
No, it's only the indoor yoga because of the COVID things. You don't need to sign up for the outdoor yoga. And normally, when we're back to a normal schedule, when life comes back to the way it is, you never need to sign up. You just show up.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Just show up. Keep it simple. It's nice and easy. You know, the only thing that we do prefer, and most people, and actually everybody has done that, is to bring your own equipment.
Yes.
You know, you want to have, when you get involved in a yoga thing, you want to have your personal props. You know, your blocks, your straps, your mat, because it's yours. Now you're doing something all the time.
And now you do it at home too?
Yeah, we're doing it at home. I mean, I have things for sale available, but it's just nice because that's just the way it is. If you're in the city, that's what people always do. People always just get off the D train and they're loaded with their stuff. And they go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
great. So they can email you if they're interested in buying bolsters or mats or
well,
something?
they can, and certainly they can email me for any questions about anything like this, just some information or some help. But in the meantime, it's really just a show up thing, you know?
Yeah.
And again, you know, what I try to get people is don't be intimidated.
Yeah.
Don't let that stop you from coming to do yoga or meditation. Just go and try it, okay?
Yeah.
There's no ego in yoga. There's nothing, you gotta leave all that out. You just go, you know, focus on your space and do what you can do. And you can always ask assistant. And one of the other options here is we do offer private classes. So sometimes that's a gentle break-in for people that have not done that before. And then they can have a one-on-one with one of the teachers and just, you know, kind of maybe, you know, break it in. Okay, so I've done this now. It's like, I can take the training wheels off, you know?
Are there any teachers, or do you recommend all of the teachers that you have if somebody maybe had an injury, if they have now been cleared to come back for yoga and maybe they want to have a private?
You know, what I say is you know, I've been also blessed about the teachers that have come to me that are teaching at Pure now, and they're all equally the same. They all can do multi-level, and if you do have an injury or it's your first time, it's the orientation class that you want to do. This way you just feel comfortable. It's like, it's your permit, you got your driver's license, and then just take it for a ride and, you know, come into a class with other people.
Right.
And then you'll feel good about it, because then you're in, you know, what's nice about it in the yoga community is not only are you doing something that's good for you when you're there, but now you're surrounded by people that are doing the same thing that you're doing.
Yes.
And that really just generates and just feels good, you know?
Yeah, everybody has the same intention, just do it.
Yeah, and everybody's have a calming relationship and a nice attitude about it, and that's the important thing about it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I sure can't thank you enough for opening the door and saying, come practice Reiki here,
Right.
as well as doing Reiki classes. That has been a big hit. I'm starting to have some people ask me about that, so we'll see about that in the future.
And I'm also grateful because I'm part of all this. I'm part of you and Ed and the community and everything that this place stands for. So it's so lucky.
Yeah, we are.
And I've seen changes here, and this place rocks right now.
Yeah.
So it is. It's a great thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All good things.
Thanks so
well,
much.
Thank you, Al.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ben.